Welcome, Percussion Methods class. Thank you for coming over today to meet me in this classroom. And the topic of the day is Samba, and I hope that will fit into what you're studying. In the Percussion Methods class, there's so much to cover, it's really overwhelming. And the overall goal is to help you in understanding percussion pedagogy and being able to help your students achieve technically and musically what they need to achieve in all the percussion areas. Typically you'll start off with snare drum for several weeks, working on the technique that really will transfer to all the other instruments. So working on technique, including the basic rudiments, is very important, and I know that's where you are right now. Then maybe you'll spend a week or two on keyboards, a week or two on other band instruments, bass drum, cymbal, triangle, tambourine, maybe a week on drum set, a week on marching percussion. You see, pretty soon the semester's gone by. So much to do. And maybe there'll be 1 week on Latin American percussion instruments. That's all you get, but that can be a valuable introduction. It's important to consider Latin American instruments because these instruments reflect certain styles from South America and the Caribbean, and these are styles of music that have had a big influence on American music. You know, over the last century, we've had a big influence of, say, Cuban music in styles like cha-cha-cha and mambo. And you know about calypso music from the Caribbean islands and reggae music, Bob Marley, Samba. So these styles come from all different countries of South America, and they have specific rhythms, specific instruments. And it's important for you to learn a little bit about all of these. This music is music that you may want to play with the marching band show. So you'll need to know about the style, the rhythms, the instruments, and how to play them properly. There's a long history of these rhythms being played by jazz bands. A jazz band will typically play a samba or a calypso, and you have to know the difference and what instruments would appropriately, authentically be used in that case. Same may be true for your halftime show or pep band bleacher music. You definitely would typically find some of these samba instruments and samba rhythms. And even in the concert repertoire, there is interest in playing non-European, non-Western music. And among that repertoire includes salsa and band pieces inspired by Latin American music. And the example I give to you is Carnival in San Paulo, which I share with you an article about that. And that's a high school level concert band piece inspired by Samba. It has Samba rhythms, Samba instruments, and but there are no program notes in the publication to indicate to you that it is a Samba. So sometimes you have to do a lot of homework on your own. And that's the article there was a result of work I did with a local band director as we researched samba music to inform the students who were playing that work for a high school band. One thing to consider in many of these styles is their roots in African music. So in a way it would be appropriate for us to spend one day on African music, because so many of the instruments originating in Africa became really crucial instruments of these Latin American styles. The importance of drums, bells, rattles, shakers, all these instruments originate in Africa. And the performance practices themselves originate in Africa. The emphasis on rhythm, repeated patterns that intensify the pulse, syncopation, polyrhythm, call and response. These are all performance practices found in Africa that we'll also find in Latin American music. So having perhaps learned a little bit about African music, then we would go, say, spend one day maybe on Cuban music with distinctive instruments like the güiro, maracas, claves, congas, bongos, timbales. That's a one-day study easily just to get an introduction. Then, today, we go to another country, Brazil, and these instruments. You see, we don't see the congas, we don't see the bongos or the güiro. So, huge differences, even though they're generically Latin American music. So, I guess that's the beauty of learning about other cultures and their music. So now we have these instruments associated with samba, and samba, as I've already mentioned, comes from what country? Africa to Brazil. Thank you. So Africans bringing their ways of making music, their traditions, maintaining their heritage, came to the United States and created certain types of music. We can certainly point to African elements in jazz, for example. And then we go to Cuba, and we have rhythms like mambo, with trace back to Africa. And then the Africans in Brazil, facing a different type of influence from the colonial rulers of the time, the Portuguese. So Portuguese music, meeting with African ways of making music, and the result is samba. Samba is one of many, many styles of Brazilian music, but the one that's found throughout Brazil and the one that throughout the world is associated with Brazil. In Brazil, there are communities where within the community people gather maybe on a monthly basis, weekly basis, sometimes more than that, to get together socially and create music. And especially in Rio de Janeiro, in the areas around that huge city, which are actually slums, very poor, primarily black people, they have these organizations, social organizations, and they get together and they practice and they learn new music and they compete annually in Carnival. And Carnival is the time of year that fits with a particular church calendar. So it has to do with the Catholic Church and the fact that 40 days before Easter, known as Lent, is a time of fasting and abstaining and not partying. So you're going to have 40 days of Lent. The time before that is the time to party. Party big. And in New Orleans, that time is called Mardi Gras, right. So we're in this Carnival season right now in New Orleans. It started on Saturday, and I was there. I was there for the first parade of the season. And then parades and parties continue all the way until the last day before Lent. Lent begins on Ash Wednesday. The day before that is Fat Tuesday, which in French is Mardi Gras. Now you know. So that's a little bit about the background, and now we need to get into the music. It is important that not only do we understand the techniques and the rhythms, but we know where they came from. Music has its meaning because of its context, its cultural and historical context. And I asked you to be listening to the music as you came in and to identify the meter, which you did identify. And I would now point out that this bass drum is the heartbeat of samba. The heartbeat of samba. 1, 2, 1. Many other patterns that we could play, but I'm giving you the basic. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Would you take over, please? This drum. Would you also, please? Grab a bass drum. So the heartbeat of samba. 1, so much for being here and cooperating to the best of your ability. And I know I've given more than you can possibly remember in terms of this arrangement. But the International Fiesta, sponsored by the World Neighbors Association, takes place on the drill field of our campus Saturday, March 27th. And the opening of this fiesta is a parade of flags. Parades from all the countries of the world are carried around the drill field and posted on a stage, around the stage, where the rest of the day we feature songs and dances and entertainment. The music for the parade is Samba, which we provide. So you're all invited. What you do is you meet me at 10 o'clock and we'll have a quick practice of whoever's going to participate. We'll go through these rhythms again, and then you serve the community by playing the music for their parade. Officially, MENC is providing the music, as well as African Student Association. So, but I'm inviting you because you know what to do. You know this. So, one more time. We begin with the call and response. Then the final call is the call to groove, counting on the surdos to bring us in. We'll groove for a while. When you see this, this is break. Then we go back to the groove. Then you see this. We're done. All right. Brazil, we say obrigado, and that means thank you. The men say obrigado, and the women say obrigada. And then for goodbye, we say ciao. So obrigado, ciao.